Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Ba da 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh no, and I never know till it's time to go. All right, for the sake of time, let me go ahead and get started here. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall on this rather cool and warming Friday afternoon. Been another great week, and expect the weeks to progress as we move closer and closer to football season. Right now, the biggest thing going on in sports to me is the Tour de France. I missed the results of stage number 6, but those guys are, the action is heating up. Look like Pogacar is going to pull away from Vingegaard. I don't think he's hitting on all cylinders like he wants. But those guys are good mountain riders, so don't count them out yet. And we still got over 2 weeks to go before that race is over with. Right now, you have the media days going on in college football. A couple of days ago, you had the Big 12, and I believe yesterday was the SEC. And then on the 22nd, you have the Big 10. And most people, as always, the coaches get up and talk, commissioners get up and talk, and they make statements about what issue is bugging them the most. And the one that created the biggest buzz so far is Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. He is doubling down on his efforts that when the college football playoffs change, which they probably will after this season, he's advocating for the 5+11. How you doing, Diego team? That means the top 5 conferences get automatic bids, and then 11 at-large bids from wherever. Meaning it's spread around more, and you have more of a diverse selection in the playoffs, as opposed to what the Big 10 and the SEC are proposing. Night of Zeus, how you doing? What they're proposing is that the Big 10 and the SEC dominate a college football playoff. They want a minimum of 4 teams each, with only a minimum of 2 teams for the SEC and the Big 12. In other words, because they're the biggest conferences, they feel like they deserve more bids. And Yormark disagrees. Well, I'm in line with Yormark. I think that, and I've been consistent with this, I think you put all these teams in the same bag and shake them up, and let's see what happens. And you might be surprised at the results you get. Now, I've been saying this all along, even when you had the previous format where you select 2 teams to come play for a championship. You might have a great game against your rival, and everybody say, "Oh, this is the best team in the country," because of the atmosphere. Look at the action that they put on the field, and they can beat anybody under these circumstances. Well, there's levels in sports. There's a championship level, there's a playoff level, and then you have teams that are just out there playing. If you have 2 teams on the same level, even if they're just the worst teams in the world, they're going to have a great game. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about Grapefruit League or all the way up to Major League Baseball. It's the same thing, no matter what level you pick. So to assume that just because you have competitive games with your rivals, by the way, and by that I mean you take the SEC, the original nucleus of the SEC, those guys pretty much played each other every year. So I don't like you and you don't like me. Well, you got me this time, but I got to go worry about the next rival. Every team in the SEC has at least 3 rivals, and they play them every year. And of course, they're going to have great games because these teams know each other very well, and it makes for good theater. But that doesn't necessarily mean you are the greatest football team because you have great games with your rivals. Now, let me flip it to the other side. We're talking now, SEC is all the rage. But when I was coming up, The Big Ten was all the rage. Oh, we're going to show the Southern boys how to play football. Because we're from up north and we play football the way it's supposed to be. It's cold and all this kind of crap. Those other teams, they can't play with this. Well, I thought that was a load of crap. And when you flip it around now that the SEC has dominated the championships over the last 15 or so years, it's the same thing. But when you put it into a playoff system and put them into a bag and shake them up, you get what I've been telling you all the time. All those conferences are made up just the same. You're going to have 3 or 4 teams at the top, another 3 or 4 at the bottom, and the rest is in the middle for every conference. You pick one, put that model to the test and see how close you come to that. And because of that, the 5-11 model proposed by the Big 12, I think, is the way to go. Now, the other speaker that made noise out of the Big 12 was Deion Sanders. He's been on hiatus a little bit because he had some health concerns. He was asked about it, and he's not going to go into it, which he doesn't have to, because you know that medical, you don't have to put your medical information out there. And he chose not to do that, but he said he's living life well, and he's hinting that, things are okay right now. But it's probably a continuation of the same issues he had before. But he didn't make noise for what he said about his health. He said that the NCAA should switch over to a pro model like the NFL, which means salary cap. If you put salary caps on these schools when they pay the players, that will make it a more equal playing ground. And you also will have less moving around of players between schools. Well, I would say that they already have somewhat of a salary cap, because with that NCAA versus House ruling, where the schools now have to pay the players, it also took the control of paying the players from the collectives. And the pot is set at a certain amount of dollars. Right now it's like $20.3 million per school. And that to me seems like a salary cap. They have to determine, like professional teams have to determine who they're going to sign at what amount of money. In college, that means which sports do they keep, which sports do they cut. And that is the issue that a lot of schools are dealing with. And I think that the number is going to go up every year, just like the salary cap. So what Deion is advocating, really, they already have. And I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it would make it more competitive, like he said, if everybody were dealing with the same thing. And to me, they're already on that road. But when you look at the NIL collectives, it's a free market system. And if a guy's worth X amount of money, then he should get it no matter what the guy next to him is making. But when you put the payments through the school, now they have a certain amount of money. You're really cutting players' money when you do it that way. So it's a way of bringing control back to the schools. Yeah, they have to pay out billions of dollars to get everything caught up and aligned, but it's still in the school's favor. And then you see what Florida State did, coming back with that the rules and things that they want players to follow. Anything that they misplace or lose or not performing on the field, it's all going to count against them. And if the other schools copy that, then it's just going to be more controlled by the schools, and it's going to be kind of like what it was before. The schools want to pay out as little money as possible, and they're going to find every avenue to make that happen. Now, speaking of the NCAA versus House, I told you guys that I do that ride sharing, and yesterday I picked up a guy at the airport. Just happens to be a major league pitcher. But he got relegated to the minors. I think they call it on assignment. He goes back and forth, trying to get back to the major leagues. And Jacksonville has a AAA team for Miami. It used to be the Expos/Nationals, but switched over to the Marlins affiliate. So it's a AAA team, the Jumbo Shrimp for the Marlins. And this guy here, he started the year with the Mets. Now he's in the Miami system, coming through the Jumbo Shrimp team. So I picked him up yesterday, and he's giving me a rundown on how all that stuff works, and how he expects to try to get back to the majors. And as we were talking, the subject of the NCAA came up and how these guys were getting paid. He thought it was great that the guys get paid, but he's also cursing his timing a little bit because he came before all that started. Well, what he didn't know was that there is a provision in that NCAA versus House ruling. Hold on a second. There's a provision in that House ruling that allows back pay to former players. And I'm not mistaken, it goes back to the year 2016. He said his last year was 2017. Therefore, he would be eligible to go get some of that back pay. He had no idea. So I pulled his code on that, and hopefully he can get some of that money that they're going to pay. I can't get in because I'm like 30 years before all of that. So let me see. 20 years before that, so I've been eligible to get any kind of money. But if anybody's out there that can get it, that would be great. But hopefully get back to the majors and get some of that money that they owe them. So that's just pretty much it right now. NBA players still racking up that money. Devin Booker, he just signed they say it's a record extension for major NBA players. He got like $145 million extension, so his pay is up to like 300 and something on the contracts that he has. So that's good news for him. But I guess it's a good thing for Phoenix because now instead of trying to go out and make splash hires to build a team at the last second, they're going to try to do it the foundational way, and they're going to use Booker as a foundational piece to try to build upon. A little contrary to what everybody else in the NBA is doing, but it's not out of the there's nothing wrong with it because if you're going to have a team to build around, you need some foundation pieces. And that's what Milwaukee is making sure that they keep up with Giannis. They don't want to lose that foundational piece. You would think that with his prowess, kind of like LeBron, he can get players to come in and play with him and they can rebuild. Now they just picked up, was it Gary Trent? Something like that. Came on pretty good in the playoffs last year. And he has an opportunity to help improve that Buck team. They also picked up Miles Turner, and they're probably not through making moves. But I think Giannis is going to be there, but we're going to be having this conversation every year until he inks a long-term deal. Now, as far as LeBron is going, they tell me that seems like the tensions are rising between himself and the Lakers front office. I think what's really going on, he's trying to muscle his way out of the Lakers because he realizes he's not the primary piece anymore, and he wants to try to conduct things all the way down the line throughout his whole career. And like I told you guys last week when we talked about Mike Brown was his coach when he was a rookie, and I believe LeBron was dictating things with that time. Now that the Knicks have hired this guy, get with the same coach you can do what you want to do with, and your career there. They got a decent squad there in New York, and LeBron, wherever he goes, he's going to make that team better. Now the question is, who would the Knicks have to get rid of? And that would be the thing that's going to happen. But he can't keep rankling the front office and expect to stay there. They don't give a damn who you are. The man paid $10 billion for the team, and no matter how good LeBron is or was, he don't have so much time to play. So they're not going to bend over backwards to give him everything at this point. He can go and kick rocks as far as they're concerned. And it's just, I think he wants to have that control, and I don't think he's going to have it anymore, the Lakers, and he's going to make noise to try to get himself out of that situation. And I don't see any other way besides that happening in LA. But that's one of those theatrical things we sit back and watch, and it'd be interesting to see how things shake out with that. All right, so that's all I got right now. If there's some breaking news today, I'll come back and with that information. But I just wanted to comment on what Yormac said about the 5-11 college football playoff proposal, and tell you how that counters with the Big Ten SEC's attempt to dominate everything, even though they're going to get at least 3 teams in anyway, no matter what format they have. So I think it's just a matter of greed. They want to control everything. But why would I want to watch a SEC season and then watch the same top 2 or 3 teams play again in the playoffs? It's not very exciting to me. I think if you leave it like they had it this year, eventually the top teams are going to find each other anyway. So it don't even matter at this point. At that point, what teams come from where. So I hope that 5-11 goes through. I don't need to see 5 teams from each conference just because they're the biggest. It's just don't make a whole lot of sense. Are we playing college football or not? And college means national, not from a regional selection. And I think Yormark is going to be successful in that. Deion Sanders said they need a salary cap. I think they already got a salary cap. And it's going to continue to be defined as these schools figure out a way to try to take back as much money as possible that's flowing to the players. But that's just to wait and see, and things are changing rapidly by the day. So like I said, if there's breaking news, I'll come back and check with you guys later. Riley Flynn, you say your name, I just did. You guys, wherever you are in the world, hope you like and subscribe. Have a great day. And like I said, there's some breaking news. I'll chime back in with you later. Until then, this has been Sports for Real. I'm out. NFL camp start next week. A lot of them do. Keep an eye on them.